Hey y'all, and welcome back to another video by UmbrasDarkness. In today's video, we're going to go over that tier list. Now, I want to get this tier list out before the 9 new ants release. I want everyone to have a fair understanding of where I think the ants sit currently, so that way when the new ones come out, I can update the list and I can show you guys where I think they sit and how it changes where we're at. But I wanted to get this tier list out. I know it's been long awaited. I wanted to wait until I had enough data from PvE and PvP. A lot of this testing comes from level 25 accounts that are fully maxed, that are stalling waiting for these new gold ants to come out. So if the data doesn't quite match what you were expecting or quite match where you're at, that's probably why. Um, and again, these tier lists are my opinion. If you disagree with them, if you don't think they're correct, I would love to hear your reason why in the comments below, or you can hit me up on Discord, or like I always say, worst case scenario, find me on server 174. Now, one more thing before we get into the video for today. Tomorrow, we'll be drawing the winner of the $20 Google Play gift card. So please, if you want to do that, the video was a week ago. I want to give 1 week for people to do it. So the cutoff is tomorrow when I go to record my video. Please, if you guys want a chance at winning that $20 Google Play gift card, please leave a comment, leave the appropriate comment on the appropriate video. Without any further delays, let's get into it. So for this video, I have 3 tier lists. I have the carrier tier list, I have the guardian tier list, and I have the shooter tier list. I broke it down into 3 tier lists because honestly, it definitely changes based on. Most people are only going to be able to boost one type of ant, and so they only care about the special ants for that ant, and by the time you are able to boost and get another ant to T9, you already have enough ants to overflow into another category. So with that in mind, my first one is going to be, and this is just because of alphabetical order, carrier ants, second one will be guardian ants, and third one will be shooter ants. So for carrier ants, I have Jack Jumper and Giant Tooth in the lead. Jack Jumper is the best DPS person we have in game. That's why he's S tier. He is universal. Giant Tooth is probably the best control ant that we have in game. He's universal, and he prevents a lot of enemy combat damage. Carrier's weakness is shooters, and Giant Tooth kind of silences that, right? One of his abilities. That's why he got an S rank. Going on the opposite end of the spectrum, obviously Guard General and Acid General are down there. They don't work with these ants, so that's why they're there. Golden Spiny, however, is down there for a very specific reason, and I would like to cover that because with a quick overview, you can see that Jack Jumper is S tier for all of mine, and Golden Spiny is D tier for all of the remainder ants. So that's why I want to kind of cover the S tier Jack Jumper and then the D tier Golden Spiny first. I think the other 2 D tiers are pretty self-explanatory based on the fact that they just simply don't work with these ants. However, let's get into real quick why Golden Spiny is D tier and why Jack Jumper is universally S tier. So Golden Spiny is universally D tier because he only has 1, 2 abilities out of the 3 typical abilities that cause damage, which automatically decreases his potential. And you'll see that in a couple of the other ants, but this one is so significant, and his ability does not bring enough. Other than that, It defense I do not rate as high as HP. Defense I don't rate as high as HP, and these two abilities are pure damage abilities. They are not they're not control abilities or nothing like that. And you'll find in PvP, and it's significantly more important to have control abilities than it is to deal pure raw damage, unless you're a shooter. But this third ability just is not good enough for that. Uh, Golden Spiny is given away for free, and unlike Golden Armor, Golden Spiny is given away for free because he's not good. If you get him, he is an orange shell unless he's one of your only orange ants. Dominance 3 and Colony Leader with Dominance 3 is just too good to pass up if he's your only orange ant, or if Golden Armor doesn't have a dupe yet. Other than that, he is supposed to be used to unlock skill 5, 7, and 8 for other ants. He has no use in the game as of yet. Alright, Jack Jumper, however, is the exact opposite. He has 3 damage abilities on his skills 1, 2, and 3. His third ability increases attack by 20%. It's one of the highest in the games. His skill 7 increases attack, so he is purely about damage. Damage, 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 and on rare occasion, damage. The other thing that you really, really like about Jack Jumper is that his skill 2 has an effective range of 4, which, based off of how the combat game works, that means it will, if you place him in your slot 3, he will only hit your opponent's zone 1 or 2, so it's a more focused damage range. He is the best slot 3 special ant that you will ever have. If you get Jack Jumper, he should be your slot 3 special ant, assuming you have a dupe. And that is something that I really want to stress here. If you do not have a dupe, if you cannot unlock skill 10, it is not worth having a golden ant over another golden ant. This entire tier list assumes that you have skill 1 and skill 6 unlocked. So like my Slim Arched, I don't have skill 6 unlocked, so skill 6 is way too important to be able to pass up and do anything else. So unless you have skill 6 unlocked, they are not usable. Once you have skill 6 unlocked, you can go by the tier list that I'm presenting now. Just real quick, this is one of the couple of spreadsheets that I have that I compiled. This is just raw data that I typed into a game to make an easy comparison. And I just wanted to point out that Jack Jumper and Golden Sugar and Golden Spiny are the only 3 with the universal plus 20% attack on their colony leader. Golden Armor has a plus 25% on the Golden Armor has a plus 25% on Anthills only, which sounds really good, but for the role that he is completing, his other abilities don't fit there. And Golden Sugar, while it is the exact same as Jack Jumper, their abilities are both aggressive and controlling at the same time, whereas Jack Jumper is just pure damage. And in the third row, you want as much damage as possible, and that's just based off of how the game works, how the combat system truly works. Each special ant kind of fills its own role, or each one of the rows 1, 2, and 3 fills its own role, and so people are scored based off of where that special ant should really go. The last thing that Golden Sugar struggles with, which makes it non-S tier like Jack Jumper, is Golden Sugar's ranges are all 5, so none of its damage is focused, whereas Jack Jumper has that one range 4, which means if you put him in slot 3, it'll only hit slot 1 and slot 2, of the enemy's teams, which focuses the damage a little bit more and is super imperative late game. Okay, so going back to that basic discussion of what you want each row to do based off of what ant you're doing, Giant Tooth has a lot of protective abilities. That's why he's S tier for carriers. I'm not going to dive into each ant. I just wanted to dive into the ones that are pretty universally the same and why they're there. But Giant Ant skills 1, or correction, skills 2, 5, and 8, his active skills, are super super protective, and that's why he is S tier for carriers. Carriers are a well-rounded troop. They're not a glass cannon, and they're not super beefy. So Giant Tooth kind of fills that role perfectly for carriers. Golden Sugar we tapped into already. If you don't have a Jack Jumper, Golden Sugar should be your back row. If you're using anyone other than Jack Jumper or Golden Sugar for your back row on your pro unit, you're playing the game wrong, unfortunately. It's one of the few times that RNGesus just needs to be resolved with re-rolling and re-rolling. Now that does slightly change when we get into March Unit 1. In March Unit 1, I'm going to tell you New World General is your best back row. But for Golden Sugar, it's really preferred. Golden Sugar or Jack Jumper are your preferred pro unit team. Slim Arched is just not as beefy as Giant Tooth. He is super good though. Giant Tooth or Slim Arched are very good roles to have. It's a lot more controlling. Slim Arched is a perfect row 2 ant in your pro unit, or a perfect front row for your March Unit 1 if you have all the ants unlocked. However, Slim Arched is controlly, whereas Golden Armor is pure DPS. So it depends on your playstyle, it depends on what you're going against, that you would use either Slim Arched or Golden Armor in PvP, and which is why Slim Arched and Golden Armor are both down in the A tier. Golden Armor is 100% a worthwhile ant. It's amazing that they give him a copy away for free on day 7. He's just only DPS. And as a front row or row 2 ant, right, because he's melee, he's typically going to fit the row 2 ant. That's where melee goes inside a carrier. And because he's only DPS and he has no control, he doesn't really fit that well in. Right now, I don't have a dupe Slim Arch, so I have Golden Armor fitted into my row 2, but if I ever had a dupe Slim Arch, Golden Armor would get replaced by Slim Arch just because I want the extra control. So they're on the same level. New World General is B tier. He only has one ability that deals damage, which is super unfortunate for him. But what he's really good at is wrecking Guardians, which carriers are already favored against anyways. But he wrecks Guardians even more, and so he's definitely worth the investment. He's gonna be my March Unit 1 back row. I just got him, so that's where he fits into the team. He's not someone that I would be like go super deep into right away. He's someone that I would invest into after you have your first 3 ants already built and you're deciding your play style. Bullet and Driver, man. They're not good. They both need a rework. You'll see I have Bullet and Driver pretty much in the same places for all of them. Bullet gets a little bit of love against the shooters, but Driver's better than Golden Spiny. That's where Driver sits. I would not invest into Driver and Bullet unless they're your first 2 orange ants with dupes, because skill 1 and skill 6 is so important. Yeah. Okay. Shooters. Shooters, shooters, shooters. Sorry. Okay. Guardians, Guardians, Guardians. They are a beefy, beefy team. Right, so for row 1, you want to have all sorts of protection, right? All sorts of beef. Uh, that's what Giant Tooth, that's what Slim Arch do. Uh, row 2, you want to have all sorts of beef and disabling. So in my ideal world, I would have Giant Tooth, Slim Arch, Jack Jumper. Um, Guard General is okay, but not perfect. And then Jack Jumper we already talked about. Row 3 is just DPS. The more damage you can do, especially to their front row, which should be the beefiest person that they have, so that way they can keep their battlefield as long as possible for as long as 3 deep for as long as possible. That's why you want Jack Jumper row 3 for all of your pro units. But Giant Tooth, Slim Arched, they are where they are. This is the ideal team. Guard General and Golden Sugar, they both fit in perfectly. They both slid in perfectly. If you don't have Giant Tooth, if you don't have Slim Arched, you can replace it with Guard General. And if you don't have Jack Jumper, you can replace it with Golden Sugar. You could even replace Slim Arched with Golden Sugar. Right, Giant Tooth, Golden Sugar, Jack Jumper isn't absurd. Golden Sugar does have some control abilities, so having Golden Sugar as your second ant is not absurd for either Carrier or Guardians. Golden Armor just doesn't fit in with what you're jiving for. For Guardians, Guardians are super beefy, and Golden Armor is DPS, DPS. Guardians aren't known for DPS. Don't don't stress about them. This isn't the right place for Golden Armor. His colony leader gives plus 25% to invading anthills. You shouldn't be invading anthills with Guardians. Yeah. Uh, Bullet and Driver Ant, they're just, man, they are tough. It is really hard to justify investing into them. I couldn't get Driver Ant out of C tier for any of them. I would love to hear stories that work. I would love to see screenshots if you want to send me on Discord of where Driver Ant just wrecks face. But for testing, I could not get Driver Ant to work. Maybe it works in the mid game, maybe it works in the early game, but my tier lists are meant for like longevity of investment. Bullet Ant does show up a little bit more. He has some versatility, and honestly, Bullet Ant would be invested in over Golden Armor when using Guardians. But Golden Armor is just so well developed, and it's so hard to invest into Guardians early on because the Tier 3 Transmute and Evolutions requires March Unit 2 and March Unit 3 to be maxed. Okay. Shooters. Last but certainly not least, my wife's favorite ants, and one that I can definitely get behind, is shooters. Acid General is insane. Acid General is probably the best DPSer in the game. The only unfortunate part is it only works for shooters. If you have Acid General and you're playing shooters, he should be in your team. Acid General, Jack Jumper, shooters are a glass canyon. They are meant to be doing damage. That's why they are the best for Groundhog, because all you're trying to do against Groundhog is hit the biggest number. It's the same with Squirter event right now. That's in KE. If you guys are enjoying it, I'm sorry, but I don't. But the Squirter event really benefits shooters right now because it is so... all you're trying to do is hit for as much damage as possible in one go, and that's exactly what shooters do. Shooters are glass cannon, do a bunch of damage. But so Acid General and Jack Jumper are insane for this. Golden Sugar, same place as always. Golden Armor, debatable whether or not you want to run Golden Armor or Golden Sugar in slot 2. Golden Armor has an argument because it's a melee, so you want to focus and anthill invasion. So if you're invading an anthill, golden armor could easily get in there. Golden sugar has a universal buff on colony leader of plus 20% attack. So while hitting groundhog, golden sugar is definitely better than golden armor because it gives an attack buff. Giant tooth and slim arched. Control's just not. It's just not. That's not what they're meant to be doing. If you're on defense and your opponent sends in carriers, a well-built carrier team with a high-level Scorpion, Giant Tooth and Slim Arched could be that role. And that's why they're B tier. That's what makes them better than Bullet and Driver Ant. Because they have a rare occasion on defense, which is not where shooters are meant to be used, but they have a rare occasion on defense where they could be used. Bullet Ant and Driver Ant, man. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Alright. I know I kind of rushed towards the end of the video. I didn't realize I was so far over 20 minutes. Or at least while I'm recording, I'm super far over 20 minutes. I'll try and edit it down, you guys. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, please let me know. Let me know in the comments below. Hit me up on Discord. My username will be in there, or the worldwide Discord. Or, worst case scenario, you can find me on server 174 with the migration event. Our server is a peaceful server looking for other alliances that are trying to be peaceful and only have combat once every 14 days. So if you want to be in our server, just hit me up on Discord and we'll work on a recruitment for when that goes live. Once we hit 200 subscribers, guys, we'll do another $20 Google Play giveaway. Every 100 subscribers, as long as I'm making content, we'll do another $20 Google Play giveaway. I will update these tier lists after endgame testing has been done on the special ants that are getting released on September 13th. I do have speculations on what those special ants will look like and what their skills are. If that's a video you guys would like to see tomorrow when I do the live giveaway, let me know. If I get like 3 or 4 comments in the first 24 hours that's what you guys want to see as a video, I'll make that video tomorrow night, show off the data that I have and what the special ants that should be releasing on Monday should look like. As always, you guys, stay humble, stay hungry, stay happy. Until next time, bye, y'all.